but I also wanted a chance to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But I also didn't want to leave my job.
Yeah.
So I needed somebody to like be there and like I'm doing this for both of us, but I need you to like make this worth it for me, right? And that it was a very unique situation where I trusted him enough to just blindly just say, "Here's my life savings. Let's build a studio."
Wow. That's a risk.
Oh, man. Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Mario.
And I'm Peter.
And we're
Guys That Listen.
On today's show, we have creator, entrepreneur. He's on Twitch. He's on Worldstar, Chrys Thompson.
Yo.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man.
So did you get on Worldstar by like,
Yeah, it's that one was just I got a little lucky. Sometimes I know people and meet people and they can like be in situations and I don't really try to put myself in the best situation. And this time I was like, what would happen if I tried to get on Worldstar? I know somebody that works there. Oh, I got on Worldstar,
Wow.
So, I feel like I've been a little bit more open with doing that lately of just saying, you know what? I don't know how much time I got left. I need to just try to like not take advantage of people, but at least try to ask for things that probably can be done easier than I think from people that are in positions,
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take,
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure. When you say you're got on Worldstar, what do you mean exactly? Like somebody filmed you fighting in the streets?
Yeah, you always used to. That's how we grew up knowing Worldstar. But now I don't know what's their main bread and butter. But it was a song that we made, and we knew that it'd probably have a better chance getting on there with the video. So once we kind of knew that we had a chance, we made a music video.
Oh.
And so they posted the music video on the main page of their website for a weekend. And yeah, we were up there. And we got like 40,000 plays in the first weekend. We were like,
nice.
Oh,
crazy, yeah.
That's tight.
Damn, that's sick.
Nice, dude. So tell us about yourself, like your background, where you came from, where you live now, what you do.
Yep. So I came from Palm Springs, California. So I've been in Southern Cali. Yeah, everybody has a different understanding of that. They're like, do people even live there? Like, I'm like, well, now there's a few generations of people that I think that have kids and they've had kids. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was growing up, it was not much going on.
Oh, wow.
Which means you just really hang out with your friends in the desert, all that kind of stuff. Find ways to have fun. House parties was like the most exciting thing in high school, but. Eventually, I went to college at UC Riverside.
Nice.
So didn't go too far. Ended up moving back my senior year and basically living in Palm Springs and driving out a couple nights, staying on couches, just trying to make it work.
Oh, wow.
And then stayed there and went and got my MBA at the Palm Desert campus at UCR. So I was kind of like not sure what I wanted to do in my career. I was making music when I wasn't going to school, but it was never like, at that time, it wasn't like it was now with Spotify and Apple Music, all that stuff. So it was like, it was just me showing my music to like 4 people, right?
At a house party? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, that's all of Palm Desert.
Oh, yeah.
And then, eventually I started working out there and there was a moment where I was like pretty lost and I was like, not sure what was going to go on with my life, but got pushed to move out to LA.
Oh, wow.
And so
what was the push?
Just not having anything else to really care about, like career-wise. And I had just like transitioned from a job. I was unemployed. I had a master's degree. I was like, what am I scared for?
Damn.
Yeah.
And one of my mentors was like, do you think Los Angeles is going to come to you?
Oh.
And so like stuff like that. And I don't always talk about it, but like since we're on this, like I saw a spirit kind of trance medium guy who's like psychic, all that stuff, and he was just like, I see you by the ocean, type of thing. And then I like didn't go, right? And then like 6 weeks later, saw him again. He was in town again, and I went, and he's like, I don't have anything else to tell you. I already told you what you
Wow.
what are you still doing here?
Yeah.
Right? So I finally just went that summer, 2011, and came out here. The dude who just called me was my best man in my wedding. He was the only guy I knew out here, and I moved into some lady's like room that she had off Craigslist down the street from his crib, and I was like, "That's my start. No job, no plan, no nothing."
Wow.
So that was what 11 years ago, almost 12 years ago.
Sounds like the grind, dude. Like, that's crazy. I'm curious because Palm Springs, as we know it now, is like the Festival Valley area, right? But you grew up there, so I'm sure it was way more different because I've been there outside of like the festival stuff, and it's not too much stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's developed a lot. So
Of course,
in comparison,
all of a sudden I leave and like now they
Yeah.
have pool parties and splash.
yeah.
You know, and like
Like, Chrys is gone. We can have fun now.
I'm like, they got like all these things going on with Coachella just actually became a thing as soon as I move out here. And then like I never went to Coachella and I move out here and then I go to Coachella. So it's just
when you're no longer local, you go to Coachella.
Yeah,
You're like,
you know?
damn, I actually have to pay for Airbnb to go to Coachella now when I used to be free. Damn.
yeah. So it's definitely finally figuring itself out.
Yeah.
It's trying to do something for the younger community. I think it was always designed for the older community, retirement community.
Yeah, of course.
20,000 golf courses and, you know.
Makes sense.
All we had was like a water park growing up. We used to go there like 3 times a week.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
in
that
the
was it.
desert? You got to go like every chance you got.
So like that was a memory I'll never forget. I've probably been to that water park like 200 times or something.
Is it still there?
Still there, yeah.
What's it called?
Well, it used to be called Oasis Water Park, but then Knott's took it over.
Oh, okay.
Soak City or something, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Soak
Nice.
City, USA.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's crazy. So you lived there, moved back, and then you decided to just pack whatever little things you had and move to LA.
Yeah.
I think that's commendable on its own, dude. Like I've honestly thought about, like I've been here like my whole life. I mean, I wasn't born here, but raised here pretty much, you know? And I always think about like, oh, what if I took off somewhere like a bigger city to do something? You know what I mean? The only reason why I did is because I felt like I need to do something for my city here. But I always think about like, can I survive elsewhere? You know, maybe with tougher competition and really just like chasing my dreams. Like moving out there and just living at some lady's house, I'm sure it was difficult for a while, right?
Yeah, so I didn't get my own place for almost 2 years. So I lived with her for a couple months. It started getting weird.
What do you mean?
So bless her little heart, she started renting it out to like, I was the first one, right? It's her, there's a room, there's a bed. I just had clothes. I'm like, okay, cool. Like put a couple things in the fridge. I was just trying to just not be doing much in there, right?
Yeah.
Just sleeping. And then all of a sudden, she had like these Chinese exchange students in there.
Oh, wow.
And like she had like 4 of them move in at the same time, and they were like living in the living room. And I was just like, they started using my towel. They didn't know like they're supposed to have room and board and food. Like she was getting bread. I know.
Whoa.
And so she was like hustling, right?
Working the system.
Yeah. And so one time I took them out for some Chinese food because I felt bad. I realized I shouldn't be mad at them. I got to be mad at her, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, these guys have no idea. They're trying to learn English this summer. And so I took them out to some real Chinese food, and they were like, "Oh, thank you," because she was Russian or something, and she had them eating some shit they weren't trying to eat.
Really?
But eventually, after they used my towel and were drinking my milk and stuff, I was like, "All right, I got to get out of here."
That's my sign to
I
leave.
was like, "Yeah," my towel was wet one time. I was like, nah, bro." So then I moved in with this dude that was 85 years old.
Oh, shit.
And Victor, man, and I just got a room. Had its own bathroom in there, and I was like, upgrade. It was just a room in some random dude's apartment, but I didn't have steady, paychecks.
Yeah.
I couldn't like in LA, they sweat you, So it was like I needed a roommate. We became like, understanding. I got my room, he's got his room. Like again, I'm like in the kitchen for 10 minutes making my food, so like not feeling comfortable for almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't seem like that long, but at that time I was just like, I was excited, but it was not comfortable, right? And I left a very comfortable, right, situation. I was living with my mom. We were doing all right. And it was like, leaving family and your friends and everything and then going and living with some 85-year-old man. I'm like, and then people ask me what I'm doing. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's just like that. But now I look back, and obviously it's like great to know that I work at UCLA. I'm a director. I have 4 recording studios. Like, wow. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I guess that just can't happen unless you just jump into the darkness,
Yeah.
Do you feel that you wouldn't be where you are today if it wasn't for those experiences? Like, moving to LA, doing this, like, you're basically hustling, grinding, like, you're going from the bottom to the top.
Yeah, I think about it. And I'm around a lot of young people, and I try to help them through their thoughts and what they're dealing with. And, we try to bring on interns at our studios, and then they end up they try to move here from their cities, and they end up not having the money and can't be reliable. And I'm just like, I know what you're going through. I've been there. And I was more educated than most of them are, and I still struggle the same way. And I'm like, so there's not going to be a way this is just going to make sense. But it always makes sense when you look back. You can see these dots, and you can see how the turning points, and you can see when things really what worked out, what didn't. But when you're in it, you can't. You can't see that stuff. You know?
Do you feel that you have a type of mentality where it's like you have to be like your back against the wall in order for you to succeed?
You know, I think the hardest thing that I still struggle with is I'm very good at caring about other people, right? And it's probably unique. Maybe it's coming from a small city. Maybe it's just the way that my DNA is or something. But like when I can lock in with someone else's vision or what they want, like I'll do it. What are we doing? But when it's me trying to figure out my life and it's like, oh man, the struggle. And then I'm like, oh man, why am I worried about this? Then I try to switch the focus to someone else. So when I started out here, I think it was like that was actually my success. I jumped into these big studios and just threw myself at them, and I would just commit to whatever. Oh, your music video, I'll pull up for free. I'll do this. But I was learning and I was gaining contacts, and I didn't realize the experience was like showing me that it's easier than I think.
Yeah.
Because when I was making my music in my bedroom in Palm Springs, I just knew it wasn't where it needed to be, and then I see these people making it on a real level, and I'm like, oh, they're still human. They're still struggling with the same confidence and the same like what do I do's. And so just kind of seeing the mask kind of be taken off and like getting to see some real things happen made it maybe believe I could probably do something myself too, you know?
Nice, dude. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying too when you say you can help everyone but yourself. You know, it happens so frequently.
Like that's you.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. You know, I always think about like what potential people have and what they could do better. And I want to see, you know, maybe it is just like caring for other people a lot, but I always want to see the people around me succeed. You know, I want to see everyone succeed, but obviously more so the people closest to me because like I know what their struggles are and what they're going through. But you know, when it comes to myself, I'm always like the blinders are on. You know, and in a way, I kind of chalk it up to like me helping out my friends or my loved ones is in a way my own success or finding things out.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you never know what your impact is. It's hard to remove yourself.
Oh yeah.
But, you know, we definitely all have impacts on people in our lives and vice versa. And that's, I think, why we're here, right? Like, you know, we're not just on this planet by ourselves. That would be a different experience.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why we're all here together at this time. Whatever it is, whatever you believe, you got to kind of see it that way at some point.
We were talking about this the other day when I asked you, like, oh, do you know what your purpose is?
Yeah.
You know? And at least for me, like, I've learned that for myself, it's like I want myself and my loved ones to thrive. And I've gotten to that point too where it's like sometimes like I would it was easier to like help other people than myself. And now like I try and place myself before that because sometimes it doesn't work. If you are like empathetic, if you do care about a lot of people too, like, you know, sometimes it's easier to help somebody else out than like do the things you need to do for yourself.
So kind of copping out.
Yeah, it is.
A little bit. It is.
It's like a freaking like a procrastination mechanism too, where it's like, you know, you gotta do stuff for yourself. Like, oh, but you know, Peter needs me to do this.
You need to go to the store for
But I think it's also in a way where you kind of avoid your problems, right? Because let's say you feel bad about what you're going through and you can't figure it out. Yeah. So I'll help someone else out, and in a way, that's kind of fulfilling. So you're like, oh, I feel good about doing that. So now I don't have to feel so bad about myself and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's linear, right?
No, definitely not.
I saw this documentary recently. It's the Jonah Hill one.
Oh, yeah.
With his psychiatrist or therapist.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, basically like life is like this and just like your heartbeat. So when it stops going like this, you're dead, right? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So ups and downs are good.
That just means you're alive. You know, obviously you went through a really tough time. You said you work with a lot of kids, so you want to help out the youth. Was there a specific student or like a younger person that you felt like you made a huge impact on?
Yeah, you know, I think it's an ongoing development in my head about what is help and what is like enabling, right? So like the balance.
That's tough.
Right? And I've helped some people like probably more than most people would. And it's not like, oh, I'm Superman, I deserve all this. It's weird to say it, but the fact is I know I did, right? Like sometimes I'll give people money, my resources, and literally pull them out of a situation. they're in some shit, they can't pay the rent, or they're in a situation they need a new place, and I've helped them. I'm like, oh, I'll drive you there. I'll do this. I'll front you the money.
Yeah.
Doesn't help them though, because they're right back where they are.
That's where the enabling thing
Right?
comes in.
And so, like, to me, I think the best thing I can do for people without using my money and my resources, which could impact me at some point, is to give it to them raw, like what they need. You need someone to be real with you, and not worry about hurting you, and actually worry about trying to wake you up, because people will tell you exactly what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
And you'll tell them, you're telling me what you need. You need this, and everybody wants to just find some other thing that's no, it's just this. No, it ain't. It's, you said it.
Yeah.
You need this, and it's like that wake up call of just someone telling you like it is. And I always, people like that know me will tell me, you're really good at like respectfully just giving people the brutal honesty. You know,
that's hard.
And with respect and with like some level of diplomacy, and just like, hey, I care about you, so I'm going to let you have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's, I think, the best you can do for someone.
Yeah, that's hard. I recently have been dealing with that more. So, like, I think I was very, I would avoid it. I was very avoidant of those kind of conversations, you know?
Yeah, they're not easy.
No, it's tough, especially someone you care about. And I think it makes it even more hard when it's a problem that's been ongoing and you didn't address it from the very beginning. So if it's something you haven't talked for in like years,
and then you try to open,
then you all of a sudden they're like, "Why the hell didn't you tell me before?" And I'm like, "Shit," because as time
it makes it harder.
Makes it harder, exactly. And now I'm like trying to learn to express it more clearly, but with being respectful and without being not demeaning, you know. And that's where it's hard too, because usually these people that I talk to, I care about so much, you know. I'm passionate about these people, so I say in a way where it sounds like I'm like trying to yell at you, but I'm really not. It's just because I care. That's my passionate voice, you know? So, you know, I don't know if my cousin, we could cut this out if you want to talk about it. But my cousin, you know, this is my cousin Vinh. He's now helping us out with the show. But prior to this, he was going through like some hard times. He was home a lot, depressed, didn't know what to do, you know? And yeah, of course, you know, same. So I understood, and he's younger than me. So, you know, originally maybe I would just be like, oh, here's some money for this or whatever. But now I'm like, hey, why don't you come on the set and I'll pay you, you know, and you can learn a couple of things, learn some new skills, meet some people, because this network is powerful, you know. And then one day he actually texted me. He was like, hey, you know, I just want to let you know, I really appreciate you bringing me on here. Like, not just because of the pay, but like the ability to network and gain like insight to other people's lives makes me understand my life's not that crazy and that I could move forward, you know? So to me, I was like, that text, I was like, yo, that's what it's about.
I think that's something that like you have the ability to see what's, you know, going on in someone's life. You know, obviously they're telling you to, but then there's that line, like, how far can I, like, what can I really say to them? You know, you have these like social constructs of like what is right and wrong. And like, is this person close enough to me that I can really say this? Like, is that okay? Overstepping boundaries. And that's the hard part too, especially with friends and with family. I'm like, how much can, like, I can see like what's wrong and like, I want to give you a shot or like, I want to help out. But are you going to react negatively? Like, are you going to like, you know, actually like listen to what I say or like take it in the wrong way?
But that's a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
So the way that I usually treat it, again, sometimes you lose because of it, but I'll start.
Yeah.
I'll jump in. I'll tell you something I probably shouldn't tell you about myself, right?
That's true.
You know, and all of a sudden I'm jumping in. I'm the first one vulnerable. I'm in the pool. So what? Like, are you going to jump in with me? Oh, that's cool. I'm here though. I already jumped, you know? And so now if I say something to you, you shouldn't care. I already told you something that I probably shouldn't have told you about me. And now you could use that against me if you want, right? So
honestly, that's the best way.
Oh, yeah.
Best way.
You know what? That's actually really funny you say that. When we started this and we were like, okay, you know, we have guests who can easily flow and talk back and like there's good, you know, like there's good conversation of vulnerability and everything. And Peter was like, you know, the best way to do this is we have to share part of ourselves first. Like you have to be the first one to take the jump. Yeah. If we can't like actually like have like the flow yet, like you got to be the first one to take the jump, share what like, you know, is going on in your life, something that's important to you, because once you become more vulnerable, it opens the doorway for them to do the same.
Do you feel like that because you work with the youth so much? Now, obviously, the generations are a little different, right? What would you say the main difference is? Because to me now, I feel like it's a lot harder for the youth to kind of speak out about certain things. Like they speak out a lot, but it's not like super thorough. And sometimes when they're challenged, I feel like they get kind of scared.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I try to always like remember what I was thinking like, when I was like, I got a nephew, two nephews and a niece, and now they're like in the teenage years. And I know they've got things in their brain, right?
Of course.
And they're thinking things. And I just kind of remember I used to think a lot more than I would say, and I would talk more than most, but I know I used to think more than I would talk.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no shortage of judgments and thoughts. It's
Yeah.
just, are you willing to actually say them, right? And so I feel like, especially now with like everybody's like social media, but like just like the phones and the way that we use them,
Yeah.
I think it makes it harder to look people in the eye and to actually like express something and read cues and
Yeah.
actually like build a relationship in person.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be telling. Maybe that is not necessary anymore, but it was so
That would be
necessary
crazy.
for a long time.
Yeah.
And if it becomes a time where it's not necessary and everybody could just use their phone and like this is how we're connecting now, which is seeming like it's getting more and more that way.
Oh,
you know,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
might not be
times.
bad, but it's
Yeah.
definitely completely different.
No, it definitely is. Like, I have a younger brother, two half brothers who are younger. They're 16, 17. And I always try to relate. I'm always around people younger than me, so I always try to relate, especially as a brother. But so I try to have these like social interactions with them as much as I can. And then I notice that with a lot of them, they don't know how to interact in person because, the only social they have is social media. You know what I mean? Social cues are kind of lacking when the only time they interact with people is online.
Yep.
And it gets a little bit difficult, but I always try to push them to do things that require you to interact with people in person.
Yeah, it's comfort. Comfort comes with time, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got to experience it.
Yeah.
I think, truthfully, like very few people are very socially like good with
Like
people naturally.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you go through all your awkward phases. It's awkward for a reason because that's just not how you are naturally. Like whether it's speaking on stage or making a new friend out in public to a random
A lot of
stranger.
it too is like most kids get made fun of. Like,
Yeah.
I got made fun of probably maybe more than most people, and I feel like I did, right?
Oh.
And like it's like, oh man, why would I put myself in harm's way again?
Yeah.
Like I'm just trying to duck out and not get made fun of today, right? Like,
Yeah,
so
sure.
at some point, and they call it bullying, but some of it's just like natural group interactions,
Yeah.
and the one-on-ones don't. Everybody's a little different in a one-on-one than in a group, right?
Definitely, for
so
sure.
it's an interesting kind of dilemma.
When you say you try and like relate to like your younger brothers and stuff, are you like going hang out with and be like, yeah, Henry, you got Riz, or like, yeah, that was gas?
No, I don't think I've said
That's
either.
funny. My mom was like, she came over a couple of days ago and she saw, she came out here and she was talking about how she's like, she knew the word Riz from my niece. And I'm
wow.
like, Mom, I don't think they actually say it though. I think it's just online. You see it. But
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
hear people using that, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, but I don't know. But that's funny.
That's actually true. I've noticed that because with slang now and social media, people pick up slang online. Back then you pick up slang from your homies, people you actually hung out with, and it kind of reflected their lifestyle, right? If you go someplace that was like more hood, then you would hear more hood slang.
Yeah, what's up, fool?
Yeah. But then now it's like anyone can say it.
Mm-hmm.
They just see it on the internet and they think it's like okay, which maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know, but it's like they don't even have that affiliation with the place where it came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
the origin of it is
the origin of it.
known. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's bunk.
But what I mean by I tried to connect with my brother is, so for instance, I know he's gonna have a lot of first experiences, right? That I've probably been through. And one recent experience was he recently just had a friend who passed away. He committed suicide, right?
Were they like 14?
No, he's like 17 or 18. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
Yeah. I think he was in college, so 17 or 18. And then, my brother just broke down. And like a couple of days before that, we had an anniversary for my grandma's death, which she had passed away the year before. And I understood him on two different points. One, he didn't really react to my grandma's death like as tragically as she had passed. he just kind of was like, oh, I'm kind of sad, right? And when his friend passed, he was like bawling, and he just couldn't control like how he felt. And I've experienced something very similar, and I think being that we're a next generation immigrants, like there is kind of like that disconnect with family. You know what I mean? So when my grandpa passed, which is also my dad's mom, my dad's dad, I had a hard time connecting with the fact that he passed and I should be mourning, I should be sad. Because I didn't really have a close relationship with him. But as a kid, I knew that when people die, you cry, right?
Yeah.
So I tried to do that, but I knew that I was kind of like faking it. When I was like 5 years old, I knew that these tears were fake.
Like, I'm supposed to do this.
Yeah, I'm supposed to cry, so I'll show my parents that I care by crying, but really I don't have the emotions connected with these tears. And then, when I had a friend who killed himself, like when I was younger, I definitely felt more of like that pain, So I saw myself in my brother, like similarly, and the way he reacted. Because that popped up in a conversation where someone who doesn't try to understand it as much, like they can't relate. Like my pops actually got mad at him because he was like, "Why didn't you act like this when your grandma died?
Oh.
You care more about your friend than your grandma? Like I just lost my mom and you're acting like this." And because I wouldn't say it's an age gap, but it's more so a generational gap. Like my dad didn't really talk about those things, and he wants my brother to relate like how he does with his family. Like when he was younger, when his family member died, he would like grieve and like.
But it might have been the expectations.
Yeah, exactly. And then so I told my brother, I was like, hey, and I I'm bad at this, but I'm learning how to get better. I don't tell my siblings that I love them enough, right? So I told him, I was like, hey, I understand that you're going through a lot, because he was crying. He was like, just leave me alone. And I was like, well, I'm gonna leave you alone. I'll give you some time, but I'm here for you. Always text me, or if you need me, just come hit me up or whatever. And I'm here for you, and I love you. I know what's going on. I might not feel it exactly, but if you need me just to listen, I'm here. So for him, like I didn't know how to react, because actually I didn't have anyone tell me that when I was younger. When my friend passed, there was no one to talk to me about that. It was just other friends, And I think there is a viewpoint as an adult that you get passed to the youth that might give them more perspective than what their friends could do, because they're most of the time they're all experiencing it for the first time too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's you said the word listen, and it made me think about your guys that listen.
Dang, you're practicing what you preach.
No, I mean, I think the male gender, obviously there's a lot of gender conversations now, but the male gender, as it's traditionally known, is probably not as used to talking about things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about, like, when you were talking, I just think about, like, my dad. Like, I think now we have the best relationship we ever have.
Nice.
But growing up, I don't think I remember too many conversations about things, right? And so it's like, it's not easy as a dad, I'm imagining now as I get older, to talk to your son about things. Like, so it's like you expect to just have life teach you things, or teach your son things or something, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I used to, luckily being vulnerable, I'd talk to my friends about things, and they became my brothers. They became the people I think helped me get through things. You know what I mean? And not everybody is feeling comfortable enough to do that, but at some point you need to get it out.
Yeah.
You need to get it on the table, what I mean, with somebody,
And that's why we're here to listen.
That's why you're here.
All right, Chrys, let's clarify a little bit for the audience exactly, what you do now. Since you came from Palm Desert, things have definitely changed. So, let us know all your hustles, all you got going on.
Yeah. I don't always get to share every part of my life with everybody.
Yeah.
My mom definitely knows every part, people that are close to me. But again, there's always that risk of, like, I got a good thing. I got a few good things. And you don't want to lose those things. And I don't know if it's jealousy or just the fair word always comes up, like, oh, it's not fair. Chrys gets to do this, and that. But I am doing more than probably most people. And I don't feel like I'm better than anybody. I feel like if I'm not doing all these things, then I'm not really going to be good at doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like what I've figured out is how to do multiple things at once, right?
Yeah.
So my main thing is if there is a main thing, I work at a university, right?
Yeah.
And I have a pretty important role. I'm a director,
Nice.
and I basically help people get admitted. And I work with people to give them the confidence, give them the guidance to apply and to get admitted and to start an educational journey.
Yeah.
And that is a 40-hour-a-week thing.
Yeah.
And then the other time is spent running recording studios, making music, and being involved in the music industry, you know, which to me I think of as at least two things.
Yeah.
It's being a business owner and being a creator, right? And creating music. And that artistic side and the business side of just that would be probably enough to
Full
deal
time,
with,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I do feel like sometimes I'm not giving enough time to anything in my life. And I'm married.
Oh,
You have kids?
Not yet. And that caused some stress where I'm like, I'm getting more seasoned in life. You know, my mom always says you got to be careful with your words. So she doesn't like me using the O word.
she's right.
And so there's a spiritual part of that, right? Where, you know, your brain doesn't know the difference. You got to tell yourself, I'm young, I'm fresh.
Yeah.
I got, because it will impact you, you know, to
Yeah.
the other way. So, yeah, I wake up every morning knowing that I've got a few balls and I can only hold one for so long.
Yeah.
And
No, that's
so
true.
that becoming really good at dividing my time up and opening and closing things and juggling this life that I have, you know,
Yeah.
which I feel like very grateful for, but it's not easy at all.
Yeah. It's good problems to have, but
Yeah.
hard problems to
First
solve.
world problems. But I'm very grateful for sticking through it, and it's still a thing that I doubt and still work through. It's not like I've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
At all. You know.
So I have a question for you. So since you're a director, you help kids get admitted to the school that you're at, and you're also a creative, right? You own studios, you make music. Do you feel like that's ever conflicting with the students? So, you know, what I'm trying to say is, have you ever had a student that's applying for the school and you're like, I don't think you should go the school route, even though you're applying, like maybe you are creative and like you actually don't need school for this. But it's in your job description to kind of get these kids in. Are you ever finding that dilemma like common?
You know, I think I always resort to like, if I wasn't doing this, someone else would be doing this, and they would be talking to somebody. I'm like, I might as well try to be honest with them, and I haven't gotten fired yet. So I err on the side of my honest opinion, and I don't necessarily tell people this isn't for you or you should do this. I just tell people you don't need this. Nobody needs this. So I want to make sure you want this, right? And if you want this, I want to help you get it. And I can tell you reasons why you could want it or should want it. I can tell you why I happen to have earned that same degree, which is not an undergrad degree; it's a master's degree. So it's not a requirement, right? And so I tell people that if you want to be successful, you don't need this. But I can tell you that I've seen people be successful that go down this journey, and I've seen outcomes like this. And you sound like this person and this person and this person. You know, after doing it for so long, there's only so many different types of people, and I've talked with thousands. You know, I've been working in education for 15 years in various levels: community college, university, graduate school, online, in person. So that's my I don't want to say moneymaker. I want to say that's just my main income. And the main thing I've spent time on in my career, you know. But what I do in this music stuff, it is different, but you're still dealing with people and humans, and so it's not. You know, but so many people that are taking this risk in the music industry that are my clients and that people I come across, they think so differently than the people that are going to get their education.
What do you mean by that?
There's there's like the uncharted path of ignorance, right? I think so many people are ignorant to what it takes.
Yeah.
And what it takes is survival and not just being like, oh, well, I got to follow this person. I got to do what they're doing. I got to look like they're looking. And I think that when people go the educational path, they're seeing outcomes that they want, and they might be more attainable, like percentage wise, right? The artist path is percentage wise is not really a good bet. Money wise, I would tell you most people are investing, if you will, the best word, wasting, if you want to be facetious, wasting their money because they're not going to make it. Wow. I'm not going to tell anyone they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows if I'm going to make it? What does make it mean?
Yeah.
That's the point. What is the definition of success in this artistic world versus success in a career and following an educational pathway is having a job, getting a salary, leading, managing, whatever it is. And some people want to be business owners, but not everybody. Some people just want to know, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be able to provide for my family and myself.
Yeah.
And that's their motivation. So they might not need to feed that passion. Their passion is, I want to make sure I'm providing.
Yeah, cared.
You know? And whether you're man, woman, like now a lot of women don't want to rely on people. So they want to be able to provide their own income and have their own financial freedom, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's just this balance of what do you value most? And that was the dilemma I had to deal with. And I think it helps me work through things with people is like, what do you value? And I'll ask them, you know, because you can't have everything. So you could go and keep risking things your whole life. You can. And if that's what you value is just, I want to do this very, you know, narrow chanced thing, but it's the thing that I have to do, then do that. But you're going to have to take a lot of risk and make a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like there are ways that are easier that will get you to be able to live, especially in a city like LA.
Yeah.
You can go, my business partner always says, I don't know why people, like, no disrespect, but he's like, I don't know why people that work at Carl's Jr. won't go to some place in the middle of the country and go work at Carl's Jr. He's like, they'll probably be able to live a better life.
Yeah.
Because if you work at Carl's Jr. in a city like LA, you're not going to make enough to do much.
Yeah.
You're going to have roommates your whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or something like that. So I'm like, well, maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know that they can leave up and start something. Maybe it's too scary. Maybe they wouldn't even have the confidence to start that. So there's so many levels of that. You know what I'm saying? But I think that that's what we always talk about. What we're kind of talking about is just relying on the people around you.
Yeah.
To help you through these things, you know, even if it's just listening.
Yeah.
Right?
No, 100%.
So how did you get to this point? Because last, you know, you were living with 4 Chinese exchange students and an old guy, you know?
Yeah.
We were speaking about like, you know, the kind of like that kind of survival, kind of that mindset, like living out of fear. And like, you know, you got to this point where now you have like your businesses and your creativity where you have the ability to have stability and take a risk at the same time. How do you get there?
Well, first you have to push yourself to jump into something. And so the push for me was, we were kind of talking about it off camera, but it's like, what would I regret? And I knew would regret not trying something in the music industry, especially because that was the main thing that had me leave my comfortable situation and start living with those exchange students and the old man. Why am I doing that? Well, I wanted to get closer to the music industry, but then I fell back on the thing that was quicker and more for sure getting income working in the education industry. So doing that though, and talking to people and helping them through and getting them admitted and watching their lives change, watching them make more money, watching them advance. And then I'm like going home like, what am I doing? I'm telling these people to follow their dreams, giving them the steps to follow their dreams, and then I'm not doing it for myself, right? So 2018 was like, it's time. And the timing worked out. My business partner was a big reason where he got out of a situation where he was working under a producer, and he ended their relationship. It was not exactly his choice. It was either he was going to get re-upped with the contract or not. And his producer told him, I think it's time to, for you to move on.
Yeah.
So he had a crossroads, a fork in the road, where now he needed a new studio. He needed to figure out how he's going to make money. And I saw it as an opportunity because I believed in him. And again, always willing to help other people. I believed in him. And I trusted him, and I knew he had a good work ethic. So I was like, how about I throw some money at something and we get a studio? And that might give me a chance to start making music again.
Oh.
Yeah. Right? But I also wanted a chance to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But I also didn't want to leave my job.
Yeah.
So I needed somebody to like be there and like I'm doing this for both of us, but I need you to like make this worth it for me, right? And that it was a very unique situation where I trusted him enough to just blindly just say, "Here's my life savings, let's build a studio."
Oh, that's a risk.
Oh man.
Wait, when did you get married?
2016.
Oh, she must have been pissed.
That's why I got married to her. She wasn't pissed.
Oh.
She was like, "Do it, baby."
Nice.
Shout out to Chris's wife for being a real one.
Shout out to Chris's wife.
Yeah. And she was supporting me, and she has tremendously, and that's why she's my wife.
How much would you say you owe it to her for that, like, support and like your success with it?
I don't think about it all the time, but probably a decent amount because she's grounded me a lot, and that whole department of women was solved, and it wasn't solved before then, right? So that can really mess up a career.
Yeah.
Being confused with women or trying to have partners and trying to figure out how to fulfill your relationship department, and then this career.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of issues come from that.
Lucky.
Okay, so I'm gonna go into this. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit, and not to throw my boy under the bus or anything like that, but my homie Kian, like I mentioned, he's from Hawaii, from Hilo. Moved over here because he experienced DJing for the first time like years and years and years ago. Fell in love with it. Decided to move to Cali to try and make it. Went to school for it. He's gotten a lot of gigs. He works with us in the collective. He's also just a homie too, and we've booked him through gigs. He's done a lot of great things, but as a person who went from DJing to producing, he felt like he had a lot more to do. That's usually I've noticed that is the common transition for a lot of people is DJing into producing, right, and then making your own stuff basically. Yeah. And he's been gone from home for a while. And his parents are getting older. His grandparents are getting older. More reasons pop up for him to move back home, while he feels like there's like unfinished business, And he went back to visit them after like a long hiatus, and he felt it was refreshing to be home. I'm sure being out here sometimes you get a little jaded. So while on his trip back, he met a girl. You know what I mean? Someone that he finds like very different. And to him, someone that he actually loves for once, and he's been with a lot of people, but it's just, he never found that, I mean, this was different. She was special. So now he has like another reason to move back home, and maybe this is not true. I'm just saying from the way I see things is that he feels like he needs to move back in order to take a risk to make it work with her. Because long distance is difficult, right? And he thinks that she's worth it. On top of already having a couple of other reasons like his parents and his grandma. But he also is torn because, he has to choose between like the life and the goal and the dreams that he has here, the reason why he moved and moving back. And that's his constant dilemma. He's always talking to us about it. And, I don't want to, we all actually are very supportive of his relationship. We're all like, dude, if you love this girl, move back. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to regret it otherwise. But also in the back of his mind, he's like, if I move back, then what if I regret not achieving everything I want to do out here? And, in your situation, you have someone who's like, yeah, just do it. Like, I support you. And I'm sure she supports him too. But, I think it's just difficult because at the same time, you have needs that every relationship needs, like time together, right? And I think they're both kind of at a dilemma, right? I'm sure I've never talked to her about this. I talked to her briefly most of the time through FaceTime because she's in Hawaii. But I'm sure she's also thinking like, oh, if he moves back, like he's leaving something for me, And I'm just wondering, obviously in your situation, you got that women department solved, but if that wasn't the case, let's put yourself in a different pair of shoes where that you weren't quite there yet. Like that must be something so hard to kind of figure a fine line between, right? Like both of them are his dreams, basically.
Yeah.
He's passionate about both things, music and her. So
I mean, it's timing is an important part of life.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm not afraid to say I'm 38 years old. I first started my first rap line probably was when I was 14 years old. You know, so that was way before I met my wife,
Yeah.
right? So at some point there are gifts that you have, but gifts aren't fully polished. They take energy and effort and commitment. Everyone hears the 10,000 hours, you know, so it's hard to directly diagnose, but 10,000 hours with a person versus 10,000 hours with what you're passionate about and you're naturally gifted, those are two different things.
Yeah.
You can be annoyed at both after 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
But at some point, you know you need to put in the time to something you love. So sometimes people want it to seem like they want the outcome to be promised before they put in the work,
Yeah.
right? We all do. It's like a natural thing. But I would say you also think that it has to go one way. You see this way that maybe it's worked for most people, and it's like, this is how it's got to go. Maybe not. Maybe he doesn't have to move here for that to start working,
Yeah.
right? Maybe he puts in that 10,000 hours with her by his side. And then all of a sudden, he flies out here every once in a while. And maybe he gets to a point where if he's producing, you don't need to produce in LA.
Yeah.
But maybe the network and the contacts and the events he needs to go to, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be I have to move to LA to make my dreams come true. Because even for me, I moved out here and didn't start a business for 7 years. Right? I wasn't actively working in music for those 7 years. Not even close.
Yeah.
But the last few years, I've been doing it more than ever. And I still am not doing it full time.
Yeah.
So you got to have some kind of like patience. Everyone wants to rush through life. And we all do. But then it's over.
Yeah.
Right? So if he really wants a girl, he's got to show her. But then he's also got to, if she really wants him and she cares about him, you know, it's a balance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So balances are never complete. They're constantly
Shifting,
getting balanced.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That's a solid answer.
Yeah.
I think we got a new host.
Yeah. Should definitely hear this before Keen moves. Yeah, because he always talks to us about it, but we're also close friends, you know? And I think having that insight from a non-biased perspective is really, really crucial. Because as much as, yeah, I'm not going to lie, as much as I support him in his relationship, like, I love the dude, you know? I want the best for him, but at the same time, I'm like...
You don't want him to go?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I always try to act like I don't fucking care as a guy, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, go move, bitch. Like, go home. You know? But at the same time, I'm like, man, yeah, you know, this guy's gonna be out of my life, you know? And we have friends where like that's happened before. And I try to tell them, do what's best for you, obviously, always. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I necessarily think that's the only way you should go about it. You know, we have a friend, Matt, moved to Boston, right? And I was like, yeah, go move to Boston. Go pursue that life, you know? And like, maybe if he ever hears this, like sometimes when I hear that he's kind of like lonely out there, I'm like, exactly, bitch, why'd you move? You know? Like, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, dude, do you? You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like, oh, but maybe he's so lonely, he's a little bit closer to moving back, you know? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that I'm sure that's 100% selfish. But at the same time, it's difficult because, you know, for me, my you know, like how you mentioned to yourself, my friends are my family. You know, I grew up in a household where my parents didn't really talk to me in the way where we could communicate clearly. It was like a very hard household to grow up, you know, a lot of like abuse verbally, physically. I actually never wanted to be home because of that. You know, I took up skateboarding so I could be out in the streets like all day. And then eventually I found my family in the streets, you know, the people that I hung out with all the time. And yeah, so maybe that's why I hold them so dearly and so closely to my heart. And that's also the reason why I want them to succeed, you know, but I don't, that's their life. I don't know what's best for them, So as long as they believe that's what's best for them, it goes back to overstepping boundaries sometimes. I'm like, dude, that's love. That's the first thing I felt that. Go chase it, But at the same time, I'm like, there's a lot for you to do here too. Like, I feel like that might be the wrong answer for me to tell them. Like, hey, stay here, pursue what you want to do. You came here for a reason.
Yeah.
But
I would say most of the time in my life when I tell somebody what to do, I usually do the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's hard to tell people what to do. I think you just got to try to introduce ideas into people's world.
Yeah,
And, decisions, one of my best man, I always call him that because deciding who's going to be your best man is challenging.
Yeah.
Right?
really.
But I told him, because I was between probably more than two people, but definitely between two people.
At least.
And the other person, I was like, man, I definitely wanted you to be this, but this guy had this impact on my life at the time where I needed it, and he looked out for me in ways that I just needed that. And it was like you were there during pivotal times, and that was why you're my best man. But he always tells me, like, you don't need to make too many decisions. Sometimes you make too many decisions, and he's just like, not everything's a decision. And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, I'm making decisions all the time. He's like, yeah, but you can make no decision. That's a decision too,
It's true.
So I think at some point we all just feel like we have to, like, do all these things, but there's also so much going on that we don't control. So sometimes things just need to be, again, the timing of life just needs to just take place.
Yeah.
And then some opportunity is not there when you thought it was. And then all of a sudden things become simpler, And so it's like you can't have 20,000 opportunities in your life. And then if you're only evaluating, let's say 10, it's less stressful, and it's more like, oh, there's probably only so many outcomes my life could really have.
Sure.
And it's hard because some people are grounded in religion and that's their guiding principle. That works.
Yeah.
If that works for you. For me, I've never had that. So I'm more spiritual, which I think spirituality and religion should be related, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how people go about thinking about fate or all that, right? But at some point, we're here right now, and that's all we got. And we know that debatable, but at least there's centuries of history, at least, right? And so it's like, this is what we got to work with right now, And you're only in one city. You could either move it or stick there. You're not going to have 30,000 options you're considering. Some people move somewhere or move back home. It's like, do this or do that.
Yeah.
And some people are wild, but most people not. It's like, and so to me, it's just like, okay, figure out what you would not be happy with if it didn't happen. And it's like back into it.
So you've mentioned your best man and your mom a few times. So I wanted to ask, like, how close are you to your family and your friends?
Yeah, pretty close. I think I value that higher than probably average. And then, it might be because of the family dynamic. I don't have a huge family, and then you don't spend that much time with your family as you get into your adult life, So it's like, who are you gonna share your life with, And what are you looking forward to doing when you're not working, right? And what memories are you gonna make and all that. So obviously you have to have trust, right? And you're not gonna come up with a whole new set of friends every 10 years, So there's some people that you've put in time with, and everyone's on their own path, right? But like for my best man, again, he was the only person I knew. His name's Kenley.
Shouts Kenny.
Yeah, out here in LA when I moved, and so it was kind of like he gave me whether he knows it or not, he gave me the comfort to be in a very uncomfortable new city, huge city, to where it's like, well, all else fails, I can pull up to his crib, and I did, and I would go and explore, and after he got off of work, come to his crib for a couple hours, and just like, yep, I'm good, I got a home base, So, but yeah, years of him, having he's a very stable person, very stable, and not really a risk taker, right, and just very all around, like one of the best people I've ever met, hands down. And everybody that knows him feels the same way. I think everybody feels lucky to know him. He doesn't go out of his way to meet people, right? He's pretty much an introvert, but when you get to know him, he's a cool ass motherfucker. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that he allows me to be me, you know, and he knows I'm extroverted. He knows I'm gonna be the one out there meeting people and bringing strangers around.
Yeah.
And but for the most part, you know, it means a lot to know that you got brothers in this world, man. You know, and he's definitely my brother. You know, and he moved out to Sacramento a couple years ago, and I knew it was gonna change, but he still comes down. Like, we're gonna hang out after this, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's almost, we always joke because I'm like, you know, he got married, had a kid, and I'm like, we might see each other more now that, you know, because he still has to come down. His wife's parents still live in the neighborhood.
Nice.
They want to see their grandson. So I've been seeing him probably just as much, you know. So
Nice.
that's cool. But yeah, you want to keep in touch with those that, you know, mean something to you. And I think that, like, I have probably more friends than most people because I make the effort. I've always made the effort.
Yeah.
You know? And it does take effort. It doesn't, especially when you're focused on all these things, it's like, you know, well, how are we going to see each other? Someone's got to come to someone. Someone's got to make the energy. Someone's got to reach out. So I'm usually that person, you know, trying to reach out, trying to stay tapped in with what's going on. And, you know, every little minute could mean something, right? You might not get as much time as the past.
Going into your best man, and you said that you kind of were torn, right, a little bit between two people at least.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't like to say that I'm 35, but I am. But I'm getting to that age where, like, all my friends are getting married, and you know, I can see how people can be torn choosing their best man. Right? Me personally, doesn't really matter to me because I'll never get married. It's not really my thing. But what do you think? You know, hopefully you'll choose the best man once, right? Because then you don't have to go through it again. What do you think is one of the main things to look for when choosing a best man or a good one? Because to me, through my experiences, I get chosen decent amount.
What are you, a third one? Fourth
Yeah,
one?
third or fourth. Yeah, I think at this point they're just
Good
kind of
sign.
yeah. I think
He
also
doesn't he specifically asks people not to ask him to be his best man.
yeah, and I think at this point they're probably just trolling me, to be honest. Right?
If I get married, I'm choosing him too.
yeah, they're
he doesn't want to do it.
Just to upset me, get under my skin. But you know, because I always tell them, I'm like, one of the reasons why I don't want to do this because I don't think I'm the person fit for the job. And being a best man, I also maybe a really good best man, it shouldn't feel like a job, you know. But I feel like for me it does personally. You know, after being one a couple times, like, what would you say you're looking forward to in a best man?
I mean, it's almost like a little bit of a rite of passage, right? You're trying to show somebody that you're somebody that I want to know has always been by my side. So I want you by my side when I'm getting married.
Yeah.
Right. And then, like, the groomsmen too, right?
Yeah, of course.
So getting married kind of puts things into perspective. Like, my life's about to change. I want to honor some people, and I want them to feel that they already know, but now I'm showing them that, you know, you're some of the most important people in my life. Because that's what it is. Those people in the party are either your family or your close friends, you know. And I probably had one of the bigger groom's parties because I was like, oh man,
How many?
we got to get some people up there. I think we had like 8,
Ooh,
7 or 8, and so I was like, my wife, I'm like, you got to get some people up there.
that's a dilemma in itself, right?
I got some people on my side I need to put up there, and there were a couple that obviously didn't make it up there, and I was like, man, I wish I could have more.
Yeah.
And like, so my boy Parker, man, we're so tight now, and he was not exactly at that point in my life where we were hanging out all the time, and he didn't even get in to go to my wedding, and now he's one of the closest people in my circle. So it's like sometimes it's like timing, like, man, like, and we talked, and like he recently got married, and I wasn't on his party. I'm like, bro, I get it.
Yeah.
Like you got people that are childhood friends and
Yeah.
college and all that, so. It's more just like, you know what it is. But when you're deciding, like, the overall people who even should be there, you're kind of making decisions on, like, do I want should this person be at my wedding?
Yeah.
And some people you might not ever see again, but they need to at least get an invite.
Yeah.
That must be tough. How many people did you have at your wedding?
A little over 200.
Okay.
Okay.
Dang, yeah.
My wife's Armenian.
Okay.
Oh, those weddings are so fun.
Well, I don't know if you know anything about Armenian weddings, but
Nah.
Yeah, we went to one.
Who's?
And pills.
Oh, shit.
Motherfucker.
so like bottles of alcohol on the table.
Yeah,
all
of
that,
course,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, dancing and all that.
Yeah, the
Yep,
dancing.
yep. A lot of
Banquet
dancing.
hall, like like balling, right?
Speeches nonstop, yeah.
Yeah, just a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those times where you just wish you could slow down time. But yeah, there are people that probably I haven't seen since, might not see again. But some people that got the invite didn't come. But at the end of the day, you're like taking an inventory.
Yeah.
There's some new people that are recent in your life, and you're like, I definitely want you there. And we're probably going to hang out more than some people that I grew up with. But so it's just an interesting time for you to take that inventory. But, you know, some people have the same friends and very small knit, and they don't really have any other friends. And I admire that. That's just not my life. I've got so many different groups. And I think it's helped me in life because I'm a connector. So there are a lot of people that know each other because of me. You know, there are a lot of circles that I've kind of brought together.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's what needs to happen. You know, and sometimes we used to hit these festivals up with like 20 deep, you know, 25 deep.
Yeah.
And there's a power in that when you're hanging out and you're partying, you're having a great time, you're making memories.
That's one of the best times.
You know, it's sometimes you're like, what is life other than this, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
We're all grinding, we're all working, and then all of a sudden it's like, this is our weekend, right?
Yeah.
This is where everybody's committing to like hanging out, good vibes, making memories, sharing that here's what we're here for. You
Yeah.
know? So a wedding is obviously that, and it's
Yeah.
honoring that, you know, this is gonna be the person that you're gonna be with. You know? And you want those circles to cross. You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest.
I don't think I answered your question though. About what it
Yeah.
best man things. I think it was just you're trying to say, all right, if all things were created equal, like in my mind I was like, what would who was the person where if they weren't in my life would be very different.
That's how you choose.
Right? So it was like, I know that this person was so critical in my life, whether he knew it or not.
Yeah.
That I was like, yeah, you're that guy.
Oh, okay.
I think some people, they don't cop out, but they don't have a wedding party,
Yeah.
and they probably have an easier time.
Oh, yeah,
Because they're
definitely.
like, no wedding party. I got a brother. You're my best man. We're going to just do this thing. And I admire that. I just knew I couldn't do that
Yeah. No,
based on how my life's set up.
Well, you're marrying an Armenian, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about just like family, you know, like
Yeah.
big family. So
Is that how you felt about your wife too? Like, you know, you without her, like, you know, it would just be so different.
yeah, you know, I told her, and you know, we had like an accelerated marriage. Her culture is really traditional. So my culture, I'm almost like, we joke about it, I don't even know if I have one, right? Like, I don't know. I'm American. My mom is Italian. She was adopted. I don't know the Italian culture through growing up. Just know it through TV. I talk with my hands. I'm probably Italian.
Yeah.
But like her culture is very defined. She's pure Armenian, mom and dad both Armenian, and they knew already they're gonna have an Armenian wedding.
Yeah.
And she didn't have any previous relationships.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was like I just happened to be that guy that, you know, we became boyfriend and girlfriend, and within a year, that was the time that it's like it's okay to ask for, you know, the engagement.
Yeah.
And we worked together. So it was like it was
Still?
well, we work at the same university now, but that's not where we met.
Okay.
And she was actually my boss.
Oh.
When we started dating, when I
He got Riz.
Yeah. It got Riz and a promotion.
it's a long story, but the highlight is that I knew who she was, and I was like, okay, this is a good girl, right?
Yeah.
And she was very good at what she did at work. She's very professional, very productive, very liked and respected.
Yeah.
And I'm watching her advance through her career. When I met her, she was not the manager of the department. I wasn't even in the department. And all of a sudden, because of my MBA, I was kind of getting tossed around different departments. And we basically started dating because I'm sitting like this. She's in an office. I'm in a cubicle, and she's facing this way, 10 feet ahead of me, and I'm just looking at her all day. Like, oh, how many weeks can I take of this?
Yeah.
And we were friends first, and it was the first time in my life that I like didn't just go straight to wanting to like have a romance with somebody. And it was like confusing because I was like not trying to really be in a relationship. I've had some failed relationships and just kind of got sidetracked in that. And it was like someone where I'm like, man, I want to give this a shot, but I'm scared. And she's such a good person that we're friends. And I'm just like, man, there's no going back. And I messed it up in the beginning.
Oh, what do you mean?
We went on a date, and I just felt like, oh man, she's very innocent, and I gotta respect this person. And so I didn't even communicate for once in my life, and I just kind of was like, this is not gonna work.
Oh wow!
And I blew her off, and it was wrong, and she was mad. And she didn't let me know, but I knew she was mad. And then I ended up getting plopped back in her department.
Oh, wow.
And it was
Can you get away, huh?
And then it was like, I really got to do this right. She ain't going to give me another chance. So we started dating, and there was like this event we went to, and it was like, if I don't go to this event and I don't show up, this thing's never going to happen.
Oh.
And there were some conflicts, and there was some like obstacles in that night that were like there, and I had to go through all these obstacles, and then we met at some rave, and we met on it. She's like, I'm here by the palm tree. And I'm like, what? You know, I had to find her. Yeah, I had to find her, and I found her, and then we danced all night. And, you know what I mean? And it was like, if I didn't do that, this wouldn't have worked, because it would have been like...
It's one of those crucial moments,
But because we were working together, and we would get into like really heated, like passionate work conversations, and I just knew who she was, and we just got close in that year. Then I ended up getting promoted, becoming her boss.
Oh, what?
It's a rare story, but like I was a manager type of mentality, and I had the degree. So eventually, once I learned the department, it was the right move. She was really good. She was an expert at the technical part, and I was really good at having meetings and getting things organized in that way. So, but then quickly I was like, I got to get out of this company now. Because I got this girl, and this is my girl, and this is not the company I want to be at anyways. And at some point, it's like, I want us to have a relationship outside of working together. So that was when my transition to a university, and then we got engaged during some uncertainty where I was unemployed for a little bit, and I was like, I don't know anything, but I know this is going to be my wife, you know? Cool. And so, and it was like a year of dating, and everybody's like, are you sure? You good? Like, you know, because I've dated girls for longer than that, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't know if it's the right time, but I know it's the right person, you know? And people were, it was everybody's curious about that. And I was just like, yeah, so let's do it. And it was like scary. And my parents got divorced when I was young. So it was like so scared of divorce, so scared of like damaging children's lives and all that. And so it was just a lot. And we were engaged for like 10 months. We got married. So we were dating for less than 2 years altogether. And then all of a sudden we're married. But that was the impetus of like being able to have her move in. Yeah. She was definitely not going to be able to move in until we had an inconvenient life before that. So kind of accelerated. And then we really had to get to know each other on a whole nother level. And, you know, you think about arranged marriages where they kind of just jump into it. So, we had to adjust. And my friend told me something good. He's like, you're new at this. Give yourself some time. You'll get good at it like you get good at everything. And I was like, that was a cool way to look at it. Because you just want to be a good husband, but you don't know how. And so I've made mistakes, and I've learned that, you know, you gotta figure out what's important to that person. And I'm still figuring that out. But I hope that I'm doing better, you know.
Was there a moment when you knew, like, this is the person I want to marry?
Just her ability to just be very much cool with me being me, and me, and pushing me to do the music, and pushing me to live my life and have fun, and just never judging me, you know. And I think and not like pulling on me like, I need you here, why did you do this, like never sweat me for that. And I've kind of got lost into that, and I know a lot of people that get lost into that in relationships where it's just like, what is a relationship? Is it I need you and you need me and we can be together every day and that's all? Because I don't know if that lasts. You know? So it was just like really a new way of having a relationship with somebody.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that.
And that's been 2016, you said?
Yeah. So we've been married 6 years.
Nice.
Going
Going on 7, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So now that you guys been married for 6 years, going on 7, no kids still.
No kids.
Is that something you guys don't have planned in the future, or just taking your time with it?
We've the COVID thing kind of hit us. She likes to keep things private. She definitely doesn't like me talking about this stuff in public. But I think we both want that to happen, and hoping that whatever needs to happen and whoever decides this stuff can help make it happen. You know?
Yeah.
Because I think it's beyond our control.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we hope it happens for you then, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Same, man. Same.
Was there how did you ask her out? Was there like a line that you use or
He's funny memories, right? Like she always is like, yeah, you asked me out to lunch, and then she's like, but I knew it was a date, and I'm like,
Oh.
all right, well, because you paid, and I was like, well, yeah, but sometimes I get a little foggy on it because I'm like, the first time when we first tried to go out on a date, she came over with a big old bag of Jack in the Box, starts ripping it with a cheeseburger, and I'm just like, I'm not used to girls doing this. Like,
Yeah.
See on there like, can't look at me like this.
Yeah.
Nah, we're eating. We're like eating to her is everything. She's a foodie, right?
Okay.
So she was just like, we're about to eat. I don't care what I look like. I don't care. That's crazy because this expiration says August 10th, and that's her birthday. So I'm just like, whoa.
Oh.
that's a sign.
Yeah. Anyways, I was just
Wild.
but yeah, she's just got a different way of looking at life. She's an extrovert. She's funny, and she's just very much never trying to inconvenience someone. Always trying to make everybody feel happy and just the joy of life. She wakes up singing. So yeah, I didn't really realize that it could be that simple being with somebody. It was always like something complicated, and I chased probably like we all do. I chased in most of my relationships. And I didn't chase her, and I think that she took a toll though because I was so jaded from relationships that she was not experienced in relationships. So it was kind of like she was like just like, well, this is my guy, so I'm just down. But after years of being down, that wasn't exactly how she wanted it either. So I think I had to like readjust to like, okay, she's done a lot, and I continually have more appreciation for how she handles herself.
Nice.
With our relationship and just in her life. She's taught me a lot about like what it is to be selfless and what it is to always consider to the deepest amount. Because I feel like I'm very considerate when I help people, but she's considerate in the way that she never wants to feel someone else, like to have someone else feel like a burden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of anything. So it's a lot of effort that doesn't go noticed, you know?
Yeah.
I hope you find someone like that, Peter, who can heal your jaded heart.
Yeah, I always tell myself, I'm like, I'm not jaded. I'm just realistic. You know, like for me, it's, like,
He's
it's
jaded.
not my, you know, it's very similar to you. Like my parents are divorced, you know, and my mom got divorced again, you know. So to me, everyone always asks, like, is your decision to not get married because of your past? And I say no. Like marriage has never made sense for me, you know, and I'm not against it for anyone else. Like, go get married. That's your thing. You know, for me, it just wasn't, it didn't seem to fit like what I believed in, you know? And like to see it happen to my parents and to see people's approach to marriage made me like really like solidify my answer and what I want, because I believe in love. You know, I've been in love. You know, I've been in very long relationships.
Marriage are two different things sometimes.
Yeah, of course. And another reason why I'm single, you know, because love is not enough for it to sustain a relationship. You know, or at least that's why I think. And for me, I just believe that if you love someone and you guys are compatible and it works out well, you don't necessarily need marriage to be part of the equation.
Still a relationship.
You still have relationships. You just, and for me, I see the way people approach it. You know, a lot of people care more about their wedding day than their marriage. And to me, I don't think that's kind of like the right approach. I think, you know, and they think that whenever they get into a marriage, that it'll excel their relationship. You know, push it to the next level.
That's the missing piece.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that if you thought that was a missing piece, there was already a missing piece prior. You know, it's not coming to you. You know, and yeah, it's again, I'm not. People usually think that I'm against commitment because I say that I don't want to get married. I'm not. You know, I've been in a relationship for like 10 years. Been in a 4-year relationship. You know, 2-year whatever's. It's not really that. It's just I think that certain times people fit in your life and they're there for a reason. And then if people live forever, the story would be completely different. But I think the idea that people don't live forever and mortality is in question, that there's a reason why you want to stay with someone for the rest of whatever you have left, right? And that's why I don't kind of write off my exes, because I think that in order for me to be the person that, you know, I could find someone to be with for the rest of my life, I would have to have been with them first. So, because I hear a lot, you know, a lot of romanticizing like relationships is like, I wish you were just with me. You know, in your case, you're the only person that your girl's been with, right? So that does happen. But for me, I have been with other people, and I don't take back that past. And I'm glad that I've developed through those relationships, because now if I do, because what is the rest of your life?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We don't even know.
Everyone's different. You know, it could be back in the day, people got married because they went off to war and they would never come back, and the marriage would be very short lived, right? And then now, like, people live longer, you know, and some people decide not to get married because you have more time, and then time's not so much of a restriction. But you know, spending time with someone is, I think, one of the most important things. Like, to me, time is super freaking important. Like, if you don't value my time already, I can't be with you, you know? Because I'm out here trying to do so many things, and then I'm trying to sustain, like, a healthy relationship. Like, that should mean something to you as much as it means to me.
But it's also like if my wife was like I am, we wouldn't make it, right?
Yep.
So she's very independent. She can sit at home and work on her computer and be very productive and independently just tackle her day.
Yeah.
But me, I can't do that.
Oh.
I got to be out of the house. I got to be talking with people. I got to be involved in a bunch of things. And so when I get home, she can't wait to talk to me. She's not talked to nobody all day.
Yeah.
And so it's just that balance where it's just like, yeah, she's waiting for me to get home. She's waiting for us to talk. And me, I've got to save that energy.
Yeah.
But if she was out and about all day and I was out and about all day, we both come home, probably wouldn't be right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's the balance too. So sometimes I don't know if there's only one person for you. I feel like there's different phases of your life, you know, and
Yeah.
And at the same time, when you're committed to someone, you got to be committed, and it's not always going to be good. It's not always going to be pretty, and
Ups and downs.
that's that
It's like the heartbeat.
Just a heartbeat.
Yeah. So then when it turns around, it's like this is great, you know.
Yeah.
What do you see as the biggest differences between love and marriage?
I think love is very much confused with attraction and lust and romance and sexuality, and all that gets clouded. And it's obviously the attraction is usually the first thing that people start with. And it's confusing. And like when I was younger, I feel like I would go after that feeling and get lost in it. And I told myself I wouldn't do that anymore.
You mean like the perception of love or actual love as you see it now?
I feel like it's a confusing thing to know if you're in love. You're in love with the idea of something. You're in love with the wanting to have a feeling, you know, but like if you really love someone, you got to want what's best for them. And it might not be being with you all day long. It might not be laying next to somebody or kissing somebody. It might be, oh, I need to be there for you only when you need me to be there for you, and I got to let you do what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we've looked at the concept of like some videos about marriage from these couples where they're like, if my partner wanted to move to Europe for a year, I should want them to do that. And I should want, that's what's best for them, and that's what they want, and that's what their path is showing them. And I think a lot of people would have a tough time with that.
Yeah.
That'd be really hard.
Yeah.
Actually.
You know? Where it's like, but if this is what this person wants to do, you should support it. And that's kind of a challenge. It's a challenge to ongoingly have phases. But I think when you think about relationships and the foundation, you talk about family. Oh, we're going to start a family. Then there's certain expectations. I got to be there for my family. I've got to tone it down. And now I got to cut off my own life for my families. And I think that's where a lot of the rubber hits the road right now.
Yeah,
You know, in our age, right, where people are committing to this, raising this child or these children, but then you lose yourself. And my mom's always trying to remind me, like, you can have both. You can have both. You know, but you've got to evaluate it and talk about it and like make it work. You know.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hard. It's funny because coming from a perspective of someone who's not married, right? I always think like that. Like, you can have both. That's why I get mad at my friends.
And I'm saying it, and I don't have a kid yet.
Yeah. You know, like I'll see my friends and they'll just disappear.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that you're in this relationship, so you're doing whatever you need to like sustain it. But you got your other relationships with your homies too, you know. And this
fuck my
applies to you guys. Yeah, you don't fuck your homies, mate. But the main thing is, yeah, you can have both, and there is nothing's ever truthfully balanced. You know what I mean? But just like how relationships take effort, like friendships take effort too. And you know, I'm in like the relationships I've been in, and you know, it's not marriage, but like long-term committed. You know, I always make time for my friends, always, because they're very important in my life, and I don't want ever for them to feel like they're neglected. And if they do, like, I let them know. And same thing with my significant other, you know. But I'm just a person whose time is like very limited. So while I can't spend as much time with you as you might want, like, I'll let you know that I'm doing the best I can.
Yep.
You know, and I feel like that's important because communication is something that's very lacking in a lot of like relationships. You know, like sometimes you don't, you know, like I have a hard time telling some of my friends, like, hey, dude, kind of miss you. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we should hang out or something, catch up. It's been a minute. But sometimes I don't say that. And that's my fault for not communicating that. Or with my significant other, you know, like, hey, baby, I haven't seen you in a minute. Like we haven't seen each other. It's been a rough week. Maybe you should have dinner and, you know, it's like take time to ourselves.
But it's also like love language too, right?
Oh, yeah, of course,
So,
of course.
Like, what you need is not what someone else needs.
Exactly.
And like some things I'm like, I'm really good at doing this. This is the way I communicate love. And it's like, it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
I need you to do this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where you have to learn the person and say, because I love you, I'm willing to try to show you in the way you want, right? And that's...
I think it goes both ways too, right? So like a person's love language is the way they perceive love. But let's say you have different love languages.
Which you probably do.
Yes, most likely, right? You would have to also be understand the other person, right? So while let's say a person showers me with gifts and that's not my love language, if I love them and care for them, I understand that the effort that they're putting forward might not be the way I perceive love, but I should appreciate that effort.
Appreciate it because that's them trying their best to show you they love you.
Exactly. You know, I think if you just ignore it, it's kind of like, damn.
You're like, well, you know I don't like that.
Yeah.
You're not doing this, so all that doesn't matter.
Yeah, you know, I don't care for that, you know?
I think that goes with knowing yourself too, you know, like really understanding how you experience love and how others or your partner experiences love and the love they gave you. Because I noticed that with myself where sometimes like I'm not a person who asks people to hang out a lot. Like I always just like, oh, you know, with our friends, it's like, oh, we're doing this or we're doing this, you know? And I find myself kind of hesitant to like ask people to hang out with me because and I realize it's like, oh, you know, sometimes I'm afraid of someone saying no to me. Like, no, I don't want to get lunch. And I realize that about myself. So when I date someone, like sometimes it's been like, oh, how come you like don't tell me like let's go hang out here, let's go hang out here. It's always me like, oh, let's go out. And I'm like, oh, you know what, you're right. Like I just like a part of me just like, oh, you know, if you want to hang out, I'm always down. Just like
you turn that part off for yourself.
Yes, but I'll always say yes. Yeah. Usually, unless I have like, you know, work or something like that. But like you ask me to hang out and like there's no one. If it's my partner, I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I hang out with you? But it's like, how come you don't ask me? And I'm like, oh, you're right. Like I don't. Cool. So, you know, we talked a little bit about, you know, love. We talked about hustle. We talked about friends and everything. Usually on the show, we have this part where we ask you, what is the craziest shit that's happened to you? What is the craziest dating stories you have?
When you grow up feeling like you don't have confidence, and like I didn't really develop as fast as some people, like maturity wise and like puberty and all that. So like high school wasn't really as flourishing for me as my homies like in the girl department. And so like finally when I came into my own, I feel like I was like 10 years late. But sometimes I go to these raves, man, and I'm like, man, vibes are right. I'm making out with a couple chicks, and I'm just like, dude, let's go, right? So I've had some crazy nights where I've like made out with 3-4 chicks at like for like hours at it, like hour here, hour here.
Whoa,
here,
that's
right?
wild.
You're dancing, making out, and then it's all of a sudden it doesn't, something happens, you part ways, you go to another stage, and then boom, it happens again, and I'm like, damn, sometimes I look back like, dang, I made out with like 4 chicks tonight.
Yeah.
Dance with like 4 chicks rubbing on booties and shit. So like that's where you're like, damn, bro, this is what it felt like. I knew like
that's what the friends are going through. Yeah,
that's what homies have been doing for years. I'm like, oh, but yeah, that single life is so unpredictable.
Yeah, it really
you're
is.
Just like trying to learn and meet new people so often, and like going through the steps again and figuring out like when it's always like that magical moment when it starts happening, and you're like, oh shit, we're making out. I don't know how I got here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna end up smashing. Like, you're like, what's about to go down? Don't
Play it cool, play it cool, play it cool.
This up, your dick gets all hard. You're just like,
You're like, what is going on? Is this for real?
It's like you're never more alive than that.
Yeah.
But then you're just like, I would never even want this person to be anywhere near in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I was craving a relationship after doing that enough times. It's like this weird thing. It feels like it's such an accomplishment and such like, that I have confidence. I'm a man. I'm getting girls. Like something's off, And so I feel like that's the hardest part about like trading that in, because that excitement and that like that pursuit and that like, how do I do this? What's the mechanism? What's my strategy with my method? Get better at that. But then realizing like it's all to the means to an end of like, I'm just trying to get off.
Yeah, stroke your ego type of thing.
And then it's like, but I'm not really connected to this person.
Yeah. No,
I feel that. Like,
I feel that right now. Like still, dude. Like,
I mean, I heard this. I think it was J. Cole. He's talking about like pussy is power. The feeling that making like pussy is ours. Like, it's this feeling where it's like, kind of like you're talking about like conquering or like, just like kind of like getting off or whatever, and meeting these different girls and whatever. And especially like if you didn't flourish in high school, where like it boosts your confidence and stuff. But at the end of it, you feel like, damn, like, there's like an emptiness.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm not gonna date this person. Like, it's not a relationship here. Like,
oh,
and
that's interesting.
How do you know when it's like? How did you know that your wife was like, okay, it's not like this,
Yeah, well, that's the tricky part, because it's like, it was the opposite, right? So the reason I brought up the making out with multiple chicks is I told her when we were friends, oh man, I went to this rave this weekend.
Oh, you guys were friends like that.
Yeah. So I would like brag about it to her as if like, and I was like, if I ever thought she was going to be my wife, I would have never, ever talked about that.
Yeah, so she knows about this.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it was like, at that time, she probably liked me. And it wasn't that I didn't like her. I just didn't ever
it goes possible?
Try to get with her.
Oh.
And I think that,
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get with someone, you would never do that. But I know some people are like, dude, that's how you mac. You let them know you're the
little
man.
reverse psychology.
But that was not I was just being honest and sharing, and like I was on a high. I just had a great weekend, and we're just like, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I made out with a couple chicks. You know what I mean? So, but like looking back, and I told her, I'm like, damn, I don't know, like, what did you think when I was telling you all this stuff? And she's like, well, you were having fun. You were single. Like, you know what I mean? So.
Oh, she really doesn't
fair.
judge
That's
you.
really fair.
Yeah.
That's super fair.
And, but yeah, I think like we all, you go out with your friends, and some of them have girlfriends, and you're just like, you watch them, they're booed up and they're holding on, and you're like, I want that. Like, and whether you want a long-term relationship or short-term, everybody wants to have someone, whether you're, whatever your sexuality is, right? You want that. And, that was getting hard for me, where we were going out and most of the people were in a relationship, and I loved them all, but I'm like, I'm lonely. And so I would go break off. And I'm like, let me go try to find someone to hang out with during this concert, during this thing.
Wow.
But then I was like, I want somebody to be there with my friends. And so that's how I started looking at her. And I was just like, would you want to go to this thing with my friends? We're all going to hang out. And she was down, obviously, because she liked me. And then I started realizing, like, everything I thought that I needed in a girl was wrong, because it was like, I just wanted someone to actually be there with me, but also mentally be able to be truthful and honest and not have the pressure of like, well, what now? Yeah. Now we've hooked up, and now what is our relationship based on? And for us, it wasn't sexual. It was just that we cared about each other, We could talk about things. Obviously, like I was attracted to her, but it wasn't the main thing.
Yeah.
And that was a hard thing to like wrestle with in my mind. Like, can this person be for me if that's not the first thing? And I was almost like, that's probably why it should be for me, right?
Damn, it went from something super crazy, something super wholesome, really, really fast. But that's cool though, because I'm like on the opposite end of that right now. Like I've been in enough relationships and I've committed myself and I've shown that like I can show someone that I really care about them. To where I'm like, man, it'd be nice to have something with no strings attached. You know what I mean? Like, geez, do we always have to talk about feelings sometimes? But you know, Mario knows this. Like, we're polar opposites, right? In that sense, he wants a relationship, but he's always the weekend, never the weekday. You know, and I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I'm trying to run through some hoes, but I always get screwed up. Like, what the hell's going on? It's weird how that works because you always get what you're not looking for a lot of the times, right? And it's always when you least expect it. So for me now, it's like I wouldn't be shocked if I end up in another like long-term relationship, which is also one of the reasons why I've actually been single and to celibate, not even talking to anyone for the past year and a half.
You're going to get blindsided.
It's gonna See, but is it really blindsided if this is what I expect to happen every single time, though? You know what I mean?
You're going to get blindsided in the worst way.
Really? In the worst way?
A year from now, he's going to be married.
Worst way, however you want to look at it.
He's going to get somebody pregnant.
Life's going to smack you, man. Life's going to smack you up.
I'm going to double down on his bet.
Really? Yeah. Okay. We're going to have to revisit this in like a year.
I feel like you're a good dude. I think good things happen to good people, and whether you think you wanted or needed it, life will happen.
Damn, it's like he has a jinx in me.
Hey, we're gonna have you back on in a year. I want to play that and be like, look at where you are now, Peter. He's a dad.
No. Wow. You guys get really shake on that? Really? Wow. Man, I thought we were homies, man. What the
Cheers to that.
Cheers. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that is kind of funny. When people's expectations aren't met in the way they want it to be met, you know? This is another thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed this yourself, but I noticed that when people expect something out of their significant other or their soon-to-be or future, someone that they haven't met, it usually hits them, it blindsides them because the person is usually not the person that they expect a lot of times. And I noticed that the most when people talk about ethnicity. And people are like,
Stereotypes and all that.
Yeah. But like, I need to be with like a tall guy. You know what I mean? Or I only date black guys or Asian guys or white guys. And boom, it's always like that person who says they're going to date black guys with like an Asian guy. And the person who says they only date Asians with a black guy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, maybe how about you just kind of let things kind of happen instead of having this like preconceived notion of like what this person should be, kind of just let it come to you.
Most of my girls were Latinas.
Really?
My wife knows. And she's like, you didn't end up with a Latina. I was like, definitely didn't. Like,
yeah.
I thought it was going to go down like that, but they're a little crazier than most.
It's weird. So you said most of the women you dated were Latina. So in your head, you're like, my type is Latinas, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming you've never dated anyone that was Armenian?
No.
So how blindsided were you with her culture and the way she is and the way she handles things?
I was pretty severely blindsided. Yeah.
What was the most shocking part?
The most shocking part is there's an expectation in that culture of how a relationship should be, like, but her family isn't like that extreme.
Okay.
If they were, we wouldn't be married.
Yeah. That's actually really tough because I have a friend, one of my best friends he's Armenian, right? Well, I met his family, like we've known each other since we were kids, and families like you only date Armenian chicks. Exactly. You cannot date outside of your ethnicity. Yeah. He's with a Cuban chick right now. And that caused a lot of issues because they were like, "Yo, you're not gonna be together. Like she's not the one for you. You can't do it." And they were on more the strict side, and that caused a lot of issues. I mean, they still worked through it. For him, he was like, "I care about this girl.
This is the person I want."
Yeah. So like, sorry, mom and dad, I'm not trying to disappoint you. That's not my MO, but here it is. I'm with someone else. Mm-hmm. And it took years, and I think, I don't know if he ever fully, got that through because, he just kind of took it on, but what can you do when your parents don't accept your significant other? Yeah. So you said that your your girl's parents are not super strict about it, but
If they would have been that traditional sense where they
Yeah.
would have embedded her brain that way, and I don't think they did. If they would have, she has friends where they're like, you're gonna end up with an Armenian. We're gonna
Really?
keep the bloodline and all that.
Yeah.
I understand it culturally. I understand it. But I think that like if they wanted her to be happy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like find someone that makes you happy.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's my issue. I keep on dating Vietnamese chicks.
I keep telling you they're toxic.
It's
That's why I stopped.
But that's not my mindset, though. I'm not like, I'm going to go date Vietnamese chick. I'm just like, I'll date whoever I find attractive.
I think you're going to end up with a Latina.
Yeah, you think so?
I see it.
That's like, shout out to all my Latino friends. But y'all a little crazy. You know what I mean? Like I hear shit. I'm just like, and it's cool because like I get along with all my Latino friends, but it's just I hear what they fucking do and go through.
But
I'm just
isn't
like,
it weird though? I feel like it's like we always want what we can't have, right? And I feel like if we are talking about Latinas without stereotyping, I think that the thing that we're stereotyping is like, well, they're crazy about you, but if you're crazy about them, they're like, get the fuck away from me. And when you're like, we're good, why aren't you crazy about me? Right?
oh God, yeah.
So that's my experience.
yeah. I
I'm
see
crazy
that.
about you right now. Oh, no. I'm chilling. Now you're crazy about me. Like there's no middle ground.
Hey guys, welcome back to Lightning Round, where we ask our guests some rapid fire questions. If they don't answer on time, they got a drink. Chris, are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, 3, 2, 1. What's your favorite color?
Purple.
If you're an animal, what would you be?
Dolphin.
Ooh,
Why the
damn.
dolphin?
Swimming freely.
You know they have like rape caves.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and they're
Dolphins?
dolphins have like rape caves. They like rape other animals and stuff, or sometimes they found like underwater swim divers and stuff, and they'll find them like gangbanged to death by dolphins.
What?
Yeah, these underwater
I
caves.
had no
Yeah.
idea.
They also their penises like they're kind of like hands. They can like grab you, like kind of like wrap
We didn't
around and
like-
pull you down.
Like dolphins have grab you by the pussy hands.
They got like mandingo hands or something.
yeah, it's like it can just grab you. It can like wrap around you. And they'll pull you down to like
Wow, he's about to change his answer. I wasn't ready for that.
If you were a DJ, what would your name be? DJ name be?
CFO.
Oh, why?
That was my first rap name. CFO.
Oh, what's your rap name now?
Chris with a Y.
Chris with the Y. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song?
Hey,
Man, I mean, it's way too many. But I would say like one thing I always remember is Dear Mama, Tupac.
Oh, okay.
My mom's like, she's that person in my life. So that song meant a lot to me.
Your favorite song that you've made?
That's hard. Ariel's was always that one that started it. It was my first music video. And it was the song that got picked for 2K first. So that was kind of
nice.
that was my second song I released when I started this whole new rebrand. And to have like a couple songs out and that song get picked already was like, you got to do this,
Nice.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go book my first song at your recording studio.
Hey,
We ready? Hush
I'm
money.
tone deaf, but
No, we got auto.
hey, auto-tune exists for a reason. Exists for a reason. My boy.
it. Your drink of choice.
Jameson ginger ale.
Who inspires you?
Everybody in my life.
If you could have dinner with any 3 people that have lived, who would you choose?
Easy. Brett Favre, Charles Barkley, Eminem. I know it's random.
Wait, why Brett Favre?
So he was like my favorite football player ever. I'm a Green Bay Packer fan because of him. Just played with pure heart and passion.
Okay.
Charles Barkley is my favorite basketball player.
Yeah.
Eminem is my favorite musician, rapper.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Your last meal if you were about to die.
Something Italian.
Okay.
Oh, he's Italian for sure.
Do you have a fetish?
Ears.
Ears. Whoa, that's the first.
Explain it.
I've always like when I was a kid, I used to flap everybody's ears.
Yeah.
I had big ears too. My head used to be smaller, and everybody used to make fun of my ears. But I ended up like playing with people's ears all the time, and then we would like flap ears when we were kids. So Luckily, my wife lets me play with her ears. It is.
That's
it is.
crazy. You're the first person who's had fashion and could trace it back. Because I feel like that's always where it comes from. It's like something from when you're younger, you know? I've always thought that, but to hear someone like kind of like speak about it and describe it, that's so enlightening, dude. Like, that's crazy.
If you could play for the NBA, what team would you play for?
I mean, now the Lakers would be cool. I was always a Phoenix Suns fan because of Barkley, though.
Okay.
You know? So, yeah.
Yeah.
I followed the Suns tough when I was a little kid, yeah.
Nice.
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would you change?
Probably just be more confident when I was younger.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's one goal that you have for this year?
To try as hard as I can
Okay.
in music.
Okay.
Nice.
And my last question: what is the favorite thing about your wife?
Pure happiness and joy that comes out of her every day.
Nice.
Thanks.
Nice. All right, cool. If you could play an instrument that you already don't play, what would it be?
Fully play the piano for sure.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
I can touch a key or two, but nah. But to be able to,
Yeah.
you know that.
Wow, that's your last song, huh?
If I could fall.
All right. If there was a artist you could work with, who would they be?
Right now, Anderson .Paak.
Anderson .Paak. What do you like the most about Anderson .Paak?
He just plays the drums. He's dope on the mic. He does it all. He's always smiling. He's got rhythm. He's tight.
Okay. Where do you draw most of your inspiration from?
I try to motivate and inspire and just like really be like extremely vulnerably passionate about just like making music, you know? So just trying to be the dopest, you know, and it's always never feeling like I'm there yet.
Yeah, okay. What's one thing you think musicians need in order to succeed?
To believe in themselves through the times where it's the hardest.
Dang. What do you feel like right now a lot of musicians lack?
Understanding and patience. Just need to have patience.
Okay. What is one thing that you remember from your studio happening that still stands out in your mind today?
The fact that we never even wanted to start it as a studio business.
Really?
I just wanted a studio.
For yourself?
Yeah. And all of a sudden people wanted to rent it. And I'm like, there might be something here.
Oh, nice. I'm doing something similar. I have a studio built out across the street. Maybe you can check it out after. But
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right. So if you could travel to one last place, like meaning you have no other choice, where would it be?
Been to or not been to? It doesn't matter.
Either one?
Amalfi Coast blew my mind.
Where?
Amalfi Coast.
Where's that?
Italy.
Oh, in Italy. Oh, I've seen pictures of people driving down the coast and stuff
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
scary, the little windy roads, but like the beaches are just set up inside the coast mountains. So it's a very relaxing and feels like home.
Nice. All right. Perfect number of kids.
2.
2. Sex?
Boy, girl be cool. Boy, cool. Girl, then that's just what it has to be.
It's gonna get blindsided.
If there is one characteristic that's from someone that you admire that you could have, what would that be?
Just always holding in your facial expressions.
Oh,
My
poker
business
face.
partner's really good at it. He could not like somebody and they wouldn't know.
Oh, really?
And I have trouble with that.
Yeah, too real.
Yeah, I'm way too real for that.
Nice.
So a little more of a poker face.
What is your biggest vice that no one knows?
I need people.
Oh,
I need people more than they know.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's my last question.
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
damn, man. Y'all motherfuckers don't play around.
Tell us your deepest, darkest secrets.
I just want to give y'all a shout out. I just want to just say, like, I appreciate this experience. I've never done anything close to like the level of depth and just the way that it's structured. You guys got a dope chemistry. I think that you guys should stick to this, whether you're satisfied or not with where you're at. I think you guys got something where this could be good for people.
Wow.
And I think it'll spread. And I would say have patience and keep refining what you're trying to go after with this. So I appreciate being on here.
Wow,
Thanks,
thank
man.
you, dude. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
I felt that. I was like,
Holy
"Ooh."
cow.
Especially when he said have patience, I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
No, that means I can't speak for Mario, but it means the world to me because our point is to have an impact. That's why we're doing it. Not as far as like fame or clout, none of that. Like we do it because we want to make people relatable and that we have traumas and shit that we go through. And I feel like a lot of people they can't speak about it because they don't have a platform. But realistically, just having this platform is not the reason why we're able to speak. The reason why we're able to speak is because a lot of people can't. We do it to kind of help people get out of their shell and understand that there is a lot of like people are multifaceted. You can't, you're a UCLA director, but at the same time you rap and make music. And you're from another world where these things don't connect usually, and that's what we're here is to like connect people. And like I said, we brought you on here as a guest, but we want you leaving as a friend. That's why
that
we
is
talk.
a solid line. I like that.
Thank you. I got bars sometimes.
I like that.
Like that's so real to us, and we love that because sometimes there is, like we talked about with our homie Donovan. Sometimes you grind, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. You just do it aimlessly, because you don't know what comes out the other side. Obviously, there are some podcasts that have achieved like success, but like ours is like so niche where it's like we don't cater to any sides really. We're just here to listen, understand people that. Sometimes people might get rubbed the wrong way, and then we don't agree with everyone. You know what I mean? But we agree with some people. So it's like it's hard to find like that core audience where they might be just as confused as we are sometimes in what we're doing.
At least we're honest about it,
Yeah.
Like, we're confused. We don't know everything. Maybe some of this will help somebody.
Yeah.
Because we were having these conversations before, before even like airing this out anywhere. Me and Peter found ourselves having like these conversations with our friends, with each other. Now it's like, okay, let's put it out there. See if we can impact somebody.
Because we feel like we're connecting. You know what I mean? I'm here with you. I feel like we're connected. You know what I mean? I feel like I had no idea too much about your life other than what I saw on social media and here. I feel like I know so much. And like the ability to have this conversation with someone, I hope everyone gets a chance to do that, whether on a show or not. Yeah, man, like I don't know where we're going to go with it, but I love the process.
And every time like we have someone on, like when you were talking about your wife, meeting her and everything, and kind of like the difficulties there, and just like how you had your dating and stuff, I'm like, dude, I feel that. Like I'm in that right now, and I'm like, and I see you, and like, okay, and you found it, and that's what I'm like searching for. I want to find that person that like, like, oh, this is different, This is like, it's not all sexual, it's not all that. It's like you want that, and when we have these conversations, you have these people who have found this and who like have been through it, and you see their thing, and I'm like, damn, okay, I'm just gotta be patient, like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, it's also like making me realize, even if I know, I'm like, oh, you're making me really think about it and say it, and then it like reinstills like, oh yeah, this is what I have,
All right, guys, that concludes our lightning round. I want to say thank you to our very real, very amazing guest, Chrys. Thank you so much for coming on. Let us know where we can find you.
Most places it's Chrys with a Y, Chrys, Thompson, ThompSon, Chrys Thompson Music on Instagram. Spotify is Chrys Thompson. Definitely appreciate anybody checking me out.
Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. This episode has been amazing, right? But as much as we learn day by day, I feel like people forget. So I always have to remind them to remember,
Live fast, eat ass.